Alrighty, thank you so much can I call you Dennis?
Sure.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Dennis. I really appreciate it. So let's get started. We're just kind of run through the different things that you're working on at the moment. We'll start with your let's start with some introductions. Can you introduce yourself? Tell us your name, your stage name, and what it is you do at the moment.
Yes, I'm Dennis Cornell. My adult film name is Lee Daly. That's uh, my name for that, and I do online content. Also, am a Reiki Master and personal trainer. And I'm at a crossroads in my life where I'm pointing away from certain things and switching to things that really resonates with me.
Awesome. So you do different things, right? So can you tell me a little bit about when people ask you like, "Hey, what is it you do for a living?" What do you usually tell them?
Well, it depends on the situation where I am. If they actually want to know what I do, then and we're like not in a loud bar or something
Mhm.
like that, then I'll go into the certain things that I do. Um, but up until recently, I was a psychotherapist for 23 years.
Mm.
So I did sex therapy and LGBTQ plus counseling and
Mhm.
worked with veterans and college students, that sort of thing. And I would tell people that I'm a psychotherapist, but I stopped doing that a couple of months ago. I still have, everything I need to do that, but it doesn't resonate with me anymore. It's more burnt out from that.
Mhm.
So I'm switching over to doing other things that are more authentic to me. So now I'll tell them I'm a personal trainer. I do Reiki, and they usually don't know what that is, so I have to talk about what that means.
Mhm.
Um, and then I do adult content.
Reiki, can you explain that a little bit more? I'm curious.
Sure. So it's from the Japanese culture. And about 100 years ago, they started letting white people and other people other than Japanese folks do it. So you go through, I went through four different trainings, workshops, um, and each one is a different level. So I got all the way up to level 4, which is Master Reiki, which is the highest level you can go. And at each workshop, your body gets attuned to certain energies that you can send healing energy to folks, um, and usually they lay on a massage table,
Mhm.
and I'll either do light touch on them from head to toe, or I'll just kind of hover over certain areas of the body. Um, and a lot of times their chakras. We have seven big major chakras from the top of our head down to the base of our spine, and
Mhm.
sometimes those get blocked. And what we want to do is have full energy range from top of your head to your bottom of your spine. So we want the unblock those chakras. Reiki will do that. It's
Mhm.
emotional, spiritual healing as well. It's kind of woo woo.
Mhm.
Um, but what I say is, if somebody can believe in a God that's also his son, that's also his spirit at the
Mhm.
same time, and eat his body and blood
Mhm.
when you go to church, then you can believe that somebody can send healing energy to somebody else.
That was beautifully explained. Yeah, that's interesting. I'm gonna look more into that. Um, so with that in mind, what brought all of these different career paths together? I mean,
Well, I like to be very well rounded, and
mhm.
I get kind of bored easily with certain things.
Mhm.
So I like to, whatever interests me, um, throughout my life, I like to go down those paths and kind of explore it and see, what I can do with it.
Mhm.
Obviously, as a psychotherapist, I was very mentally inclined to help people with their emotional and mental situations. Uh, Reiki's more of a spiritual healing for that as well.
Mhm.
Um, and personal training is physical. So it's all the wholeness of a person.
Mhm.
So I like to think that I'm looking at uh, the person as a whole and all their different facets and be able to help them that way.
It's great. Like that really gives you some deep insight, I bet.
Yeah.
So let's go back for a little bit. So where did you grow up and what was your childhood like?
So I grew up in Louisville, Kentucky.
Mhm.
I am my only child. And I really didn't fit in with my family too much, my extended family. My dad has had 12 brothers and sisters, and my mom had six.
Hmm.
So I had lots of cousins and aunts and uncles and that sort of thing. I kind of was in the middle when I was born. There were lots of older cousins and then lots of younger cousins. So there wasn't really anybody for me to play with at family functions and things like
Hmm.
that. So I kind of, did things myself, and I found out my creative side that way. Um, and then I grew up very, very, very Catholic, obnoxiously Catholic. And so to the point to where when I was in high school, I thought I wanted to be a priest.
Mm.
Even looked into it, went to the seminary formation day to see how that would look like and all that kind of stuff. And I'm very glad to not do that now.
Mm.
But I did stick with the Catholic Church for a long time, working with very closely with several bishops. Worked in several parishes and dioceses as
Mhm.
in charge of the liturgies and the worship, that sort of thing. So, and that was back when I was straight. So I
Mm.
pretended to be straight for 28 years. So I'm a pretty good actor.
Mm.
Um, but a lot of times it was more repression and suppression
Mhm.
than it was a conscious thing. Um, and so I was straight married as well
Mm.
for several years and have two biological kids from that. So uh, my childhood looks very, very different than where I am now. But I think it kind of helped me develop my spiritual side and
Mhm.
my um empathetic side to want to work with others to help make their lives better too.
Can I ask, when did that shift begin? Like transitioning from, being this devout Catholic to kind of opening up to different things.
Well, it was when I first started accepting that I probably wasn't straight.
Hmm.
And so it was a long struggle for a couple years.
Hmm.
Um, and the Catholic Church is very against somebody being gay and
Hmm.
openly having relationships and things like that,
Hmm.
because the church says if you're gay, then you have to be celibate. I was like, well, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
So um, as when I left the church and made a conscious effort to do that, um, over time, I left religion altogether.
Hmm.
I didn't see any place where I saw it as something that was stifling, where I could not be my authentic self, and there's all these rules to try to control you. And I'm like, I'm not doing any of that stuff. And that's when I started looking at other things.
Hmm.
I started to develop my intuition during that time, and I was working with some intuitive uh, coaches and mediums and that sort of thing. And they said, you need to look into Reiki and see if you want to be a Reiki practitioner because they really help with your intuition. So that's how I started looking into Reiki. I was like, oh, I like this a lot,
Hmm.
um, and got involved with that as well. So that's kind of the shift. And then I started identifying as my more authentic self,
Hmm.
um, and felt way more at home in my own body at that point.
I find part of the reason I started Pride Press, I find authenticity to be such an interesting concept because of how true it is, yet it's said so often, but I think a lot of people overlook what the word authenticity really means, because there's so many different
Right.
structures and that are pushed on us, and I think sometimes it's difficult to get there. It's a
Oh,
process.
yeah. I think we're always stifled in some sort of way by society.
Hmm.
Uh, if it's like a house of worship, or if it's your employer, if it's family members, whatever it might be,
Hmm.
I think there's some stifling, and we have to check ourselves and not be our true selves all the time,
Do you think that we've,
which is unfortunate.
yeah. Do you think in that case, do you think that we've improved? Do you think we've progressed in the way people express themselves?
Well, I think we have over the years, because when I grew up, there wasn't any gay people on TV.
Hmm.
I remember my so-called life was came out when I was a teenager, and
Hmm.
there was a gay, effeminate person of color on there, and that's the first time I saw somebody on TV like that. I was like, oh. I said, well, I kind of identify, but I don't identify as too effeminate, but I identify with those other feelings that person has.
Hmm.
And so that was kind of like the first instance that I kind of understood that. But then now it's out in all kinds of media. There's social media
Hmm.
with everything on there. Um, I think that. the current administration is trying to push all that back.
Yeah.
But I think there's a lot more out there for folks and a lot more support than there
Mhm.
was when I was little. And so that's why I had my own private practice because I wanted to be there for LGBTQ folks, especially straight married guys who are or straight married people who are coming out
Yeah.
to their opposite sex spouse, because I didn't have that either. There was nobody
Mhm.
that I knew to talk to about that.
Yeah. Well, I think that's fantastic that you're living. Um, I mean, you sound happy, you sound content with what you're doing, and I'm really happy to hear that. That's really awesome. I mean, that's the only thing
Yes,
you can ask of anybody, right? That you're living for yourself and you're happy with your life. And alrighty,
exactly.
so I'm gonna dive into a couple of things before we get more into the media. So tell me about your military service. What inspired you to do the military?
I'd always wanted to be in the military since I was younger. My dad was in the Air Force, and he
Hmm.
served during the Vietnam era. And I always looked up to him for that and other people that were in the military. And my uncle was in World War II and all kind of stuff. So, but when I knew that I didn't want to go in while Don't Ask, Don't Tell was going on,
Hmm.
because I had just come out when I was thinking about that. And I was like, I'm not going to go into another environment where I have to hide myself again
Hmm.
after just coming out. That doesn't make any sense. So I waited till that was over, and that finally happened. And then really started thinking about it. And I had a career as a psychotherapist, mental health professional that they need it in the Army. And so that's when I started talking to a recruiter. I was working at the Department of Veteran Affairs at the time. So I had that military culture background, in the employment area. And so I talked to a recruiter and they said, yes, well, we can use you. And so that's when I ended up joining and being a part of that.
And being in the military for as long as you were, do you think that it sort of shaped your discipline and even the way that you do your creative works today?
I think I was probably disciplined before I got into there
Hmm.
because I went in later in life. So usually a lot of folks go out right after high school.
Hmm.
And I went after graduate school. Um, and so I had already had some adult formation stuff going on with me.
Hmm.
Um, and it did help shape um, how I looked at the world, how I saw other folks that had different ideas than I did. I was blessed enough to be the equal opportunity leader for my units that I was a part of. So that's another thing where my social justice activism kind of came out. I had the opportunity when trans folks were able to serve openly in the military.
Hmm.
Was able to give that training to a bunch of soldiers at the time to talk about how that's going to be implemented.
Hmm.
And I had the unfortunate uh, opportunity to, when the first time that trans folks were not allowed to serve in the first Trump administration, I had the opportunity to had to do a training on that and how that's going to look for folks
Hmm.
who won't be able to openly serve anymore. So I saw all that stuff. I was able to, um, talk to soldiers who probably wouldn't have gotten this training anywhere else about their white implicit bias and their
Hmm.
how to be more anti-racist and things like that. That were all a part of the curriculum in the Army, which now has all been taken away.
Yeah. Going into your activism, I know being in the army, as you just mentioned, you have to give these trainings and talk about what's going on, kind of strictly, I assume. How did that coincide with your personal activism? What it is that you're fighting against? How did you balance those two things out?
Right. So it was tough sometimes because when you're in the military, you're not supposed to, especially when you're in uniform or on duty, you're not supposed to talk about any political stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You're supposed to be apolitical.
Mm-hmm.
And I had higher service, a higher officer who would get up in meetings and talk about how he loved Trump. And I was like, you can't do that. You can't
Yeah.
talk about that stuff in uniform. It's against the
Yeah.
rules and you can get prosecuted for it. Um, but I knew going in the military that I was not going to hide who I was,
Mm-hmm.
and I was openly gay, and I didn't go around flaunting it, but everybody knew that,
Mm-hmm.
um, and nobody messed with me because I wasn't going to put up with it,
Yeah.
um, and and I was an officer, so that they you can't really mess with officers too much anyway. But I stood up for some of the other non-straight, non-cisgender folks in
Hmm.
my unit or other units that I saw. Um, and then I'd have people come to me as equal opportunity leader to do some investigations that they thought they were being discriminated against, and I was able to look into that and pass that on too.
So what's the main thing you advocate for? Is it the military or
For my social justice
yeah, yeah,
advocacy,
I'm sorry, yeah.
the uh, the biggest thing is anti-racism.
Hmm.
And I do a lot of stuff around LGBTQ plus stuff as well.
Okay, well, that's great. Alrighty, so let's talk a little bit about your education. So I did read your Instagram bio. That's the first thing I read when I came across your profile. So I did see you have a doctoral degree. What did you get your degree in?
Yes. Yes. So I got my master's and my doctorate in social work.
Social
And
work.
so social work is the doctoral uh, degree is in social work education, and my research was on evidence-based practices um, that help white people to become more anti-racist. So I did a lot of research around that. I even had it published in a peer-reviewed journal
Hmm.
last year. And I took that information that I had from my research and started my own anti-racism business. It was a small business that I opened up with a Black female colleague of mine.
Hmm.
And so we would take those evidence-based techniques that worked, that said, you know, this can help change white people's hearts and minds about racism. And we built workshops around it, half-day workshops, two full-day workshops, and we would go around different businesses and companies and do that
Hmm.
with folks. And we got a lot of really good reception from it. But since all that anti-DEI stuff started going across the nation, and people looked at us like the plague, they
Yeah,
didn't want to touch us, talk about it, or even utter the words anti-racism.
yeah.
So that really hasn't gone anywhere in a couple years. But I have all the stuff that will work for folks if anybody ever lets me do it.
I think the title that I put for this interview, the many lives, I think it's perfect. I think it's
Yes,
perfect. You nailed it,
I'm
Eric.
multifaceted.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fantastic. I'm so happy to hear that you're working to, help people's lives. I mean, improve their way of living, and I think that's fantastic. So education with what it is you got your degree in, how does social work, um, how does that play into all the different things you're balancing? Especially
Mhm.
with your career in entertainment. I'm curious to know how some of these things, how they fold into a career in entertainment.
Yes. So one of the big tenets of social work is social justice
Mm,
advocacy.
mm,
And mental health is a big part of the social work programs. And it also sets us apart from, let's say, psychologists or licensed
mhm,
counselors or marriage and family therapists. Social workers have that big tenet that they're supposed to be social justice advocates as well. So at all those years that I was doing therapy and social work stuff, I was trying to be a social justice advocate. A lot of people don't do that as much. Social work is very white
mhm,
in terms of who gets those degrees, and it's very heavily female. So white females in social work, and they tend to overlook uh, black and brown folks
mhm,
and that sort of thing. So um, I was trying to, use that anti-racism stuff as a white identifying male to bring that up and say these are the things I've messed up with
mhm,
in terms of racism, and these are the things that we can do to make it better. And so the way I kind of unfolded, I'm one of the big things I'm working on now is trying to do social justice advocacy, incorporate within my um, adult film work.
mhm,
And so we're just using my creative side, um, where I'll post some videos, like 1 or 2 minute videos about a certain thing we didn't know about in history that happened to Black people.
mhm,
Um, and I'll do that in a way where I might have my shirt off. And you might
mhm.
catch your eye first looking at me, and then I'll give you the message.
Mhm.
That sort of thing. So I'm trying to incorporate that along with the other things that I do to kind of mold those all together.
That's great. That's kind of rolling it all into one ball.
Right. I'm thinking, we can have a president that is a adjudicated rapist and a felon.
Hmm.
Why can't we have a social justice advocate who also shows his member on internet every once in a
Yeah, yeah, I mean, that's a very good
while?
point. It's a very good point.
Right.
So, how do you keep yourself, I guess, organized? I mean, doing all these different things. How do you maintain your life and.
Well, I have a rough schedule of when I'm going to post certain things,
Hmm.
and you have a queue of videos that you've already done, and they're waiting to be posted every 2 or 3 days, whatever that schedule looks like. So I have those kind of set up, ready to go. Um, the personal training, I'm very involved. I'm one of the big things I'm going to be doing now is doing online and in-home
Hmm.
personal training things. So I will be scheduling that in there as well. And then I just do Reiki sessions as needed when people hit me up for that, um, and go, and it takes about an hour, and I'll can go to the person's home and do it as well.
Yeah.
So it's about organization and scheduling,
Hmm.
and just getting your head kind of wrapped around that and how that looks.
Yeah. I was gonna say, but you look great.
Oh, thanks.
You're welcome.
Yeah,
Alrighty,
the gym
so
the gym is my sanctuary. That's where I get a lot of my stress out, and I feel at home there, and I just
mhm,
love being there.
that's awesome. So for the last section, I'm going to dive a little bit more into just because that's part of the episode that we're doing. So I want to really dive into the adult entertainment industry because I know that it's changed heavily, especially with the introduction of OnlyFans and Just for Fans, and there's so many different outlets today, and especially on X, or Twitter. Um,
Right.
so I'm curious about that part of your world. How did that start for you? What interested you about in doing that?
So I remember back in college, I don't know where I saw it, in some store, there was a shirt that said porn star across the front. I
Hmm.
think it was a skateboard brand or something at the time. This was a
Hmm.
long time ago. And I got one. I got the shirt. I was like, oh, and I started wearing it around. I was like, ooh, I would love to be a porn star. That would
Hmm.
be so much fun because I'm horny all the time. I'm sexual. I'm sexualized. I'm sexually free
Hmm.
about things. I can talk about it for days and not feel uncomfortable. Um, and I would love to do that, but I was straight and
Hmm.
Catholic, heavily Catholic at the time. I was like, there's no way. My career right now is to be a therapist. There's no way I can do this right now.
Yeah.
So fast forward 20 years, and I finally had the opportunity in my life to say, okay, I know I'm getting older, but some people like old guys. So I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna do it. April was when I actually started, so I'm pretty new to it.
Mm-hmm.
I started my uh, X or Twitter, about 6 months before that. You put little teasers out to kind of get a following of folks, before you actually start your OnlyFans, so you have a pool of people to draw from.
Hmm.
And so I got a agent as well for that,
Hmm.
who hasn't been very helpful so far. So, but
Yeah.
beside the point. And so I just do uh, my own thing. I think I enjoy it a lot.
Hmm.
I do solo stuff or collabs with people. Um, I haven't been able to do any studio work yet. I'm looking
Hmm.
looking to do that. So, uh, Legrand Wolf or Carnal Plus or uh, Say Uncle. If you people are out there, hear me. Hit me
Hmm.
up. Look for my application. I'm on there. Um, because I think they need some dads in these videos,
Hmm.
and my persona is being a porno dad.
Hmm.
So that's kind of my shtick and where I use. Um, and I'm excited to be doing this kind of stuff.
That's great. Okay. All right. So you said college is when you first got the first kind of thought about doing it.
Yeah, and I've not to sound crass or anything, but I got a big butt and a big front, so I might as well show it off.
Yeah.
I mean, why not let people look at it
That's a good
and
quote.
get paid to do it?
Yeah. So with that, I mean, what are some of um the things that you have found to be true with doing this? I mean, the creative freedom, financial opportunity, what have you gained so far by doing this, the positives? Or cons if there's cons.
Yeah, the positives, you get to meet all kinds of people when you do collabs, and they're usually kind of hot.
Hmm.
So I'm not going to do a collab with somebody that's not. So
Hmm.
you get to do this collab, make some money, and meet somebody new and interesting. That and some of the people I've kind of kept in touch with,
Hmm.
and we'll visit and see every once in a while. Um, and it's and you don't have to travel to New York or LA in some studio and do it. You can just do it right in your own home or wherever you can find a place to do that. Um, so that and one of the big misconceptions I had about adult film people where they're kind of stuck up or snooty or
Hmm.
full of themselves or that sort of thing. And I have not found that so far with the folks that I've worked with. Last weekend I was in Atlanta and I just did a 25 person filmed orgy.
Hmm.
And all those guys were so nice. Like they were gorgeous people. And I was like, you actually want to talk to me and you want to do stuff with me? Like I was taken back, and they were none of them were rude or a-hole or nothing like that. So that misconception was kind of blown out of the water for me that they were
Hmm.
all stuck up because they really weren't. They were super nice.
That's great. Well, that's a very good that's a very good perception. I think it's true. A lot of people assume that people who do that kind of work who are in adult entertainment are, stuck up. They kind of have something going
Hmm.
for them, and I think that's fantastic. And it kind of breaks down those barriers that are there. Because everybody has
Yeah,
stereotypes, but it's good when you can get firsthand experience and talk about it.
yeah, that makes them more human too when you get to know them and like you're just not some pretty face. You actually know what you're doing and you're smart.
So would you say, in your opinion, that you sort of see your work, as a performer, a person who expresses themselves, a person who works in social justice? Do you find all of that to be you find all of that to be a mix? You can combine all of those things and um, make it work for you in the adult entertainment industry.
I think I can. I think I'm learning as I go
Hmm.
that I can mix all these together. I know there are some big social justice or human rights groups that don't like folks to work for them or do things with them that uh, have an adult film past. But that's all that puritanical values
Hmm.
that we live by in society that I don't subscribe to. I'm not going to pretend to do that.
Hmm.
It's very freeing for me to do this. It's more my authentic self to be
Hmm.
able to do this. Um, and uh, why would you turn away somebody that has a platform and actually knows what they're talking about in terms of social justice just because they've done other stuff
Hmm.
uh, in the past or currently as well?
And what do you think about how society separates intelligence and professionalism in terms of sexuality? Have you experienced that? Have you seen that?
Um, I mean, I used to think that adult film stars were not very smart,
Hmm.
and they had to turn to this to do this. And some people had, when they got out of high school and nothing else to do, and that's what they did. But I'm at the other end of the spectrum where I've done a lot of career stuff,
Hmm.
and now I'm able to do other things at this point in my life.
Hmm.
Um, and I don't think it has to be, uh, you know, getting naked on film has to equal being dumb.
Hmm.
Because I know most of the guys I've worked with before are pretty intelligent and have degrees and have done other things before. It's just the path that we are choosing to go down right now.
Hmm. And do you think that this shift to the openness of porn and the accessibility of it, do you think it's made sexuality more liberated or more commercialized?
I think with the advent of OnlyFans and just for fans, that sort of thing, it's made it more liberating because you can
Mhm.
do it yourself in your own bed
Mhm.
or in your own home. Um, it's not in a sterile studio environment with
Mhm.
fake walls and
Mhm.
plastic chairs that everybody uses. I think it has made it more liberating. People are able to express themselves now in different ways than they have in the past,
Mhm.
and they can make some money off of it at the same time. So I think I don't think it's as commercialized um, but more open and free.
Open and free. All right. So I want to talk a little about, just to end off, I want to talk a little bit about masculinity, representation, and visibility. So obviously, all of these terms are all things we've come up with, and, of course, we identify the word masculine with behaving a certain way. Having been, being gay, being a veteran, and a performer, what different sides of masculinity have you witnessed, and how would you define it for yourself?
Um, for me, masculinity is being vulnerable
Mm-hmm.
and being open and making it being okay to cry
Mm-hmm.
if you need to. Um, Whenever I worked with uh, males in my uh, psychotherapy practices, a lot of them would get choked up when they're talking about something in therapy and then apologize profusely for having one little tear fall out their face. And I was like, stop. No, we're not doing this. You can go on and cry. There's nothing wrong with that. It's perfectly okay because we are taught to be a man in society is to not show emotion and be strong and never cry and don't show weakness and all this kind of stuff, which is all bullcrap
Mm-hmm.
because that really hinders someone's emotional health when that happens, and it comes out later in negative ways through anger or through other things that
Mm-hmm.
that someone's not able to hold that in. So uh, I would see certain things in the army that was, it's a very masculine environment. And I was like, oh, that's bull crap. Just stop doing that. And I'd be my own self, and I would feel more free when I was my own self and didn't play into that ultra hyper masculine vibe.
All right. Now, when you've closed the book on everything you're doing, when the camera's off, when you're at home on your own, who is Dennis? Who are you when you're just doing your thing?
I love, love, love to sit on the couch with my husband and watch TV shows at night.
Oh, you're
Love it.
married. Uh-huh.
Yes, yes. So we have certain shows that we watch together, and we sit and watch those and love it. We just got finished watching Big Brother, and we love that one.
Hmm.
Um, love doing that. I love hanging out with my friends. I'm severely loyal to my friends. I have a very small, tight group of people
Hmm.
um, that I would call my best Judies, and fiercely loyal, um, supportive to them as much as I can. Um, and I just love to cook. I love to work out. Try to be the best dad that I can be to my kids who are older now. Um, and uh, and love Halloween. This is my season, so I'm excited about
It's coming
doing
up.
things. We have parties. I have a Halloween party next week, so I'm excited about that. Um, so I try to be as open and authentic as myself as I
Mhm.
can. Um, and my performer side, just a little more in your face than I am in my personal side.
Okay. Now, before we conclude, what message do you want people to take away from this interview? What message do you want people to take away from your life?
If you can find your path where uh, whatever you're doing resonates with you,
Hmm.
where it feels like uh, it's what you are meant to do, and that could be several different things over your time. I don't think we have to stick in one career path all your life, but finding something that resonates with you, not worrying about the money,
Hmm.
how you're going to pay your bills, that will come along with it if you give into that resonation and um, and do what you love. Um, then you become more authentic, and then you become happier in that process.
All right. That was a beautiful message. Finding your way and sticking to it and not worrying too much about where you're going to go and just enjoy the ride, right?
Right, right.
Alrighty. Well, um, we have about 5 more minutes, but I did want to tell you, I really appreciate you agreeing to do this. I came across your profile through a friend of mine, And I was like, man, like I would love to interview him. This is so cool. Yeah, I saw all the different things you were doing on your profile, and I was like, so I'm really happy that you agreed to do this. I did also want to
Sure.
offer you something. So 3 times out of the year, I publish a magazine. It's an educational magazine. And I do 10 features per magazine. I interview you, which, this can count as the interview.
Mhm.
I tell your story a little bit. I can also promote any businesses you have, any projects you're working on. I can promote those for free. Um, so if you're interested, I could do a feature for you as well. For the March issue, I already have the November issue full, but for March, I'm already getting on that. So if you're interested, I would love to put you in there.
Yeah, that'd be great. I'd love to be in there.
Sweet. Okay. Well, thank you so much. I will,
Yes.
we'll be in contact and I'll let you know how things are going.
All right.
All right.
Thanks, Eric. Have a good one.
Thank you so much.